Poverty and disease are major problems in emerging markets. Poverty and disease are major problems in Africa. There are major problems in India. There are major problems in the so-called third world countries. The lack of access to education is a major challenge in these communities. With better education, better information, we can go a long way in addressing poverty and disease in emerging markets. But unfortunately, currently, not enough money is being spent in the efforts to address poverty and disease in Africa, to address poverty and disease in the generality of emerging markets. Why is this the case? The major problem is that developed countries think about AIDS, HIV/AIDS, poverty as African problems, as emerging market problems. They don't realize that global challenges are interconnected. If we don't address poverty in Africa, there's no way we can have Africans embrace the climate change agenda. If we don't address HIV/AIDS in Africa, HIV/AIDS in emerging markets, there's no way those communities are going to be part of the agenda to save the oceans, the agenda to save the environment. In other words, we must understand the need to address these global challenges in an interconnected manner. We must understand the interdependence of communities, because if Africa is not on board on the climate change agenda, if the poor countries are not on board on saving the oceans cannot be saved. The climate change agenda cannot be adopted. So what we need to do is to understand that HIV/AIDS, poverty, nuclear weapons, climate change, the oceans, all these global challenges are interconnected. What we need is a global approach to poverty. You cannot be a rich nation when there's a poor nation of Haiti next door. You cannot be a poor European nation when there's starvation in Darfur, when there's poverty in Zimbabwe. In other words, the sustainability of the globe requires all of us, developed and developing nations, to work together in attempting to address the poverty challenge, in addressing the education challenge, in addressing the challenge around disease. Because if we do not do that, the poverty of Sudan will be the poverty of America, the poverty of Liberia, the poverty of Zimbabwe would define the poverty of Germany, of Switzerland. No nation can have a claim to wealth, a claim to success, when the levels of poverty are dismal within the same globe. So given this new approach of interdependency of nations, interconnectedness of global challenges, will be able to then have a much more sustainable answer to the issues of poverty, to the issues of disease, and people will take a vested interest approach in wiping out the disease like malaria, tuberculosis, and also reducing the incidences of HIV/AIDS in Africa and elsewhere. This is what we need to do. And also, we have said education is a key driver in addressing poverty and disease. Hence, the provision of access to education, the provision of information, the leveraging of the ICT revolution is a unique opportunity by which developing nations can reach out to poor nations, so that the poor nations with information and education can address their problems around poverty, their problems around HIV/AIDS, their problems around economic development. There's an opportunity here using science and technology to leapfrog from the 19th century, where African economies are, to the 21st century. Technology is a big equalizer, but that technology must be shared. There must be technology transfer from the north to the south. There must be technology transfer from the west to the east, so that we empower and develop ourselves. And in doing so, by the way, this is not charity. When Ghana is successful, when Zimbabwe is successful, when Liberia is successful, when Sudan is successful, that will be a key driver for global success. So we are saying we must redefine the meaning of national success. We must talk about regional success. We must talk about global success, because we are going to sink or swim together as a globe. This is the new way forward around poverty and disease.